and every day. Will you guys do a quick wave? Elena's waving. They're really good at this. They wave. We can read each other's faces really well. Thumbs up, thumbs down. This is my 17th year of teaching, and this is by far I would say the most challenging, but also some very rewarding for different reasons. The kiddos are definitely, they're amazing. They're going to blow your mind. And it's all them. They chose to come to the meeting. They chose to do this. Sorry about that. They chose to come to the meeting, and I just cannot wait for them to share with you. So Logan, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Okay, so you've got screen share if you want to put the slides up. So she's got some stuff prepped, and then I'll stay unmuted and quiet as long as my daughter doesn't call again. I'm sorry about that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Logan Carlson, and I'm a third grader at Lincoln Elementary. Last week, I joined Ellensburg Morning Rotary for Kids Takeover Rotary Day. I was the president and got to run the meeting and pick our program. So I decided to invite Mrs. Haberman so that we could talk about virtual school and what it's like for teachers and students. It was really fun, and we had a lot of great questions from a group of about 45 people, including those from our school. We thought today we could do a similar presentation for you so you could understand some of the fun stuff we've been working on so far this year. Some of my classmates are here and will also be helping me with this presentation. Gaia, Nico, Audrey, Dylan, and Elena, thank you for joining and leading with me. Let's get started. I'm really excited because today's speaker is my very own teacher, Mrs. Haberman. For those of you that don't know her, she is a third grade teacher at Lincoln Elementary. Mrs. Haberman, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, nice job, Logan. I'm so proud of you. Yes, I told you just a teeny bit that this is my 17th year of teaching. I've taught all but about 6 months of long-term sub in a first grade classroom, but at Lincoln, in room 14 at Lincoln. And I miss Lincoln a lot. I miss room 14. My students mean the world to me. And I have 2 daughters. My daughter Olivia is a sophomore at the high school, and my daughter Alicia is a 6th grader at Morgan. And my husband works for the DOT. And we live right here in Ellensburg, and we love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Mrs. Haberman, we have some questions for you. Ready?
Okay. Ready.
Oh, sorry, first. I've made a few slides, and every morning for those of the students who join early to our meeting, Mrs. Haberman always has a motivational quote up for us, and she plays music. This is our homepage of Schoology, and we share with each other our writing, our reading, and for morning message, we have a message and we can interact with each other. I have a few videos and I'm going to play them.
Good morning. The question I chose was, what is one thing this week that you have worked hard to accomplish? One thing I did this week that I have worked hard to accomplish is the math spiral review.
That was the week where we got to share something we accomplished and worked hard on. and sometimes Mrs. Haberman will put up books for us, and we get to answer a few questions about the books that she asks us.
Hi, Miss Edmond. I think the lesson in the story is that you should look at the whole thing if you don't know what it is. Like for example, you don't know a word in a sentence. So you read the sentence and then read the word and try and pronounce it. That actually kind of helps. Bye, Miss Edmond. Also, that snoring is my dad.
And this is a picture of our Valentine's Day meeting. We prepared a few questions for Mrs. Haberman. Are you ready, Mrs. Haberman?
I am. Do you want to, so that the kids can see their faces and I can see them, do you want to keep sharing, Logan, or do you want to turn off the share? What would you prefer?
I think I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Logan, do you want to start us off, and then, because we didn't do introductions, kiddos, will you please just say your name before you ask the question? Okay, awesome. Go ahead, Logan.
My question is, what do you want your students to take away from this year? Any lessons you've learned that you want to share?
Okay. The number one thing is that I hope that you guys feel proud of all of your accomplishments. I hope that you feel important. I hope that you feel valued, and I hope you feel loved. I have learned that it's possible to give and receive love through a screen. Of course, there's nothing like being person to person, but no matter what, everyone needs to know that they're loved and cared for and that somebody believes in them. And so I feel pretty lucky to be that person in my students' life this year.
Thank you. And Gaia, you are next.
My name is Gaia, and I'm a third grader in Mrs. Haberman's class at Lincoln Elementary. My question is, do you like doing online learning? Why?
Yes, I do like doing online learning. Gaia, you switched your question up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I prepared a question. That's awesome. I love it. You threw me for a loop. Yes, I like online teaching. There is definitely nothing that could replace being in my classroom with you at all. But like I said before, I just feel very lucky to be your teacher. I love being able to see you guys every day at 8:30, every day for our small group. It's consistent. I don't think anybody could deny the smiles on your faces makes my whole day. I can feel the love through the screen. So do I love being a virtual teacher? Yes, I guess I would take being a teacher anywhere, in the classroom or virtually.
Is doing online learning easier or harder than doing learning in the classroom? Why?
I said harder. The preparation is a lot. It's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of prepping to make it simple as I can, direction wise, and following through, because I'm not there with you. But I think harder or different, maybe different. I don't know. It's not really a right answer. Sorry, Gaia. Go ahead.
And last question. Would you prefer preparing school online or in the classroom, and why?
Okay. I would prefer preparing lessons in the classroom, because it's just an easy, I'm there with you guys and I can switch things up a lot easier. You guys dictate my teaching. Your learning drives my instruction. So when you prep online and when you prep I don't know how to get you to the kitchen to do a science experiment. And once you kind of have a lesson in the computer and you've got it there, it makes it harder to change it. So I get to do more kind of on the fly things in the classroom, and I can switch things up depending on how my students are doing. So I would say I would rather prepare in the classroom, but I love preparing for you, even virtually. It's wonderful.
Thank you. And next is Mika.
Thank you. Thank you, Gaia.
Hi, I am Nico. I'm sharing with what it's like to virtually learn from a child. Oh. It's easier in virtual because my parents have more understanding of how to do the programs. It's easier in virtual because we can work closer together when I need help, and there are more people to help. And last on, well, I guess last on what it's virtually like in virtual, it's easier because I am comfortable in my room. And sometimes I even get to go to the couch.
Yes. Okay, good.
And not yet. Okay. Bye.
Nice job, Nico. Thank you. I don't know if everybody heard Nico's in Richland, so he was saying what it's like from Richland, being in Richland. Nice job, Nico. And then, Logan, do you want to?
I think Cash next.
Okay. Cash, you're up, buddy.
Hi, I'm Cash Worthy, and my question is, how do you handle being in Zoom with a bunch of crazy kids?
I love your question, buddy. That's awesome. I definitely prepare for anything to happen each and every day. I do. Cash, you guys, our class is absolutely wonderful. You've learned and adapted to what is a respectful online environment like in Zoom. I smile a lot and I enjoy the interaction between the students and myself a lot. That's so important. So great question.
And Audrey, I think you had a question.
My name's Audrey Lee, and I have a question. What do you think one thing the kids want to take over from the school that they didn't want to do?
So, Audrey, will you repeat that one time for me?
One thing that the kids would take over of the Schoology.
Oh, take over like you would create it? The morning message. No, that's not what you meant. Go ahead and explain it to me.
So what I mean is, like if the kids took over one thing of Schoology, what do you think they would take over?
So Schoology is our learning platform. So are you talking, so you're not talking about like the morning message and the reading and the math and the science?
Remove one thing.
Oh, remove one thing. Oh, what would I think you would remove? Ooh, I thought you liked it all. Just kidding. Maybe, I don't know, math maybe? I don't know. I think it would be different for everybody, but I see guys saying yes. Thank you, Audrey.
And Elena, did you go?
My name is Elena, and my question for Ms. Haberman is, what is the hardest thing you've tried to teach your students online?
Okay, great question, Elena. I would say that I've had difficult lessons in math, but usually that's due to technology when things aren't running smoothly. Um, I just dialogue and communication between my students and myself is so important when I'm teaching. So if we have a bad connection, it makes it really difficult to communicate back and forth. In turn, I think making it more difficult to learn. But we are all learning, and the kids will know this because this week all of our messages are on grit, having grit, that we are all learning resilience, perseverance, and grit each and every day together. So yeah, good question. Nice job. And before you go on, Logan, did you see that Nora joined us? And I do see Dylan. So make sure to include them too. Okay, honey? Okay.
Okay. Nora, do you have a question for Mrs. Haberman?
Yeah, I would like to ask her a question.
Go for it, Nora.
Okay, so if the kids took over the school, what do you think they would take from it? Like what boring thing do you think they would take from it?
Take away, take out of it?
Yeah, take away.
Oh my goodness. What would you take away? Having to sit still, maybe? Sitting at, no. Do you have an answer for this? Okay, you have an answer for this one. Okay, you might have to tell us, honey. Tell us, Nora.
I would take away growth mindset. It's just sometimes all the long videos. I would take away that.
Oh, that's awesome, Nora. You threw me for a loop. I thought you liked them.
I kind of do, but I don't like the long videos.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Nora. I won't take away growth mindset, though. That's pretty important. Your teacher will still keep teaching that.
Okay.
And Dylan, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I'm Logan Carlson.
Okay, Logan, can I just jump in really quick because Audrey really wanted to share, and I don't think I told you this, so that's my fault. Audrey really wanted to share about learning in Korea. She just got back to the United States maybe a month ago, but she was for, well, it's been almost the entire school year she was in Korea. So she really wanted to share what that experience was like with you. So go for it, Audrey.
So first we were the first week of school we went to Korea, and we just like in school after my school in Korea we came back, did online school, and the time difference is 17 hours. So I was lucky that I got to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and do the 8:30 Zoom meeting. And it was really, really fun.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Thank you, Audrey.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for your time and the opportunity.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Mrs. Haberman's class. Thank you, Cash, Elena, Audrey, Gaia, Nico, Nora, and Dylan. You guys are awesome. I'm so proud of you. And Logan, if I didn't say Logan, all of you. I'm proud of you. And I believe in you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Haberman and Mrs. Duncan. What a treat. And all of you wonderful students, thank you so much for being here. We all just learned so much from you being here tonight. and just was a real special time for us to have you guys here. So thank you again, Mrs. Haberman, and all of you wonderful students, and Mrs. Duncan.
Hey, Ginger, can I really quick?
Yes.
Sorry, Mrs. Haberman, Madam President, third grade leaders, and your families, I just can't let this moment go by because you made me tear up so many times during your presentation, and I have a long meeting to get through, so I really don't want to cry on Zoom. But that was incredible. It was incredible, Madam President, how you led that and how these third grade leaders asked those questions and the connection that is so obvious between all of you and your teacher. There's no way I could let this moment go by without recognizing that, because that was unbelievable. Thank you so much for coming to this meeting and sharing that.
Thank you for having us. I love sharing my kids with you. They're our kids, but I'm just so proud. You have to see it to believe it. They're pretty amazing. So thank you.
Can I just quick say, and Tasha, I'm so glad that you said something, and what I said at the beginning, was that this is what hope looks like. And when we hear out there the narrative that kids are behind, it's a false narrative, because this would have never happened pre-pandemic. These kids are leading meetings in a Zoom. Better, Madam President, better than I did. Like, not once did somebody have to say, oh, unmute yourself every time I do a meeting. So you all are amazing, and just thank you. Thanks, Amy. Thank you, everybody. Kids, amazing.
Thank you.
Yep. Can I say thank you for all the students? It was really wonderful. You are something amazing, and it was really a treat for all of us. And thank you, Amy.
You're welcome. Thank you for your kind words, everybody.
Yes, and thank you for joining us so late in the day and being so on it. That was great. The highlight of my day, probably the highlight of my week. So that's wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. So next we have Jared Bronkema. We have some amazing celebrations on the other end of the spectrum from the high school perspective. His students have some amazing accomplishments that they have made recently. And so I invited Jared Bronkema to come and share with us about the good stuff that's happening at Excel.
Thank you, Ginger. That Mrs. Haberman and students, that's definitely a tough act to follow. Whenever I have technology issues, I look to the nearest 15-year-old, but I think now that if I need help with a PowerPoint, I'm gonna turn to a third grader. That was very impressive. But I did want to share with our students recently took the STAMP test, which is the standards-based measurement of proficiency. And this test is for our Spanish-speaking students. And if they score, depending on their score, they can earn up to 4 competency-based credits in world language in Spanish. And so our students, we had really good results. 5 out of 7 of our students increased their previous results or earned at least 3 full high school credits on that STAMP test. And Courtney Schrader was administered that test and did a fantastic job making sure everybody was comfortable and prepared. But Esmeralda Ramirez is here. I saw her name earlier to talk a little bit about the STAMP test. And Esme is able to retake one. What's really neat about the STAMP test is you can take specific components over and over again until you reach a desired score. And so Esme is really close to earning that 4th high school credit. And so Esme, if you're here, you want to go ahead and unmute. Matt, go ahead.
Taking the STAMP test, I'm gonna say I liked it because it was like different. Like, it wasn't like the regular Spanish that I would like usually talk to my parents to. It was really different, but I found it I'm gonna be honest, really kind of easy. The hardest one I'm gonna say is the speaking one, because I just couldn't understand the questions as much, but I know now that if I retake it, I'm most likely going to pass it. And I'm happy about that because I get a second chance to actually pass it. My scores were pretty decent. I was close on the speaking one, but didn't quite get there. And I'm hoping to retake it soon so I can get that up. But yeah, I liked it a lot, and I feel like it was better for me to, because seeing the different like ways that, because there was paragraphs and it was like differently written than I would have usually written it. So it was really cool.
Thanks, Esme. One of the really, so when students get 4 high school credits in Spanish and pass the ELA SBAC, they're eligible for a seal of biliteracy, which is truly an accomplishment. But I really appreciate Esme coming on and speaking to you, and I just want to point out just how impressed I am that she's proficient in 2 languages, and just what a celebration that is. And we're really looking forward to her retaking that test. And Ms. Schrader has made it very easy for students to take that assessment. And she works very well with our students and finding spaces where it's comfortable for them. But really looking forward to seeing Esme get that 4th credit, and then work towards earning that seal of biliteracy. And I just think that it's definitely needs to be not just a school-wide celebration, but district-wide, where we're recognizing the talents of our bilingual students. So nice job, Esme. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I think Esme had to take some time off of work to be able to get here tonight. So another big thank you as well. The other area I wanted to kind of highlight was when I was talking with Ginger last week, and actually we're in working with our continuous improvement partner from OSSI, we were talking about attendance of our students. And so when I was sharing this information with Ginger, she suggested that I should share this with you as well. And I think nationwide we are seeing some troubling patterns in attendance. In Washington State, kindergarten enrollment was down 14% this year, which doesn't necessarily, a lot of those guys are going to wait for another year, but it's impacted enrollment and the way and attendance reporting to some degree. I was just reading a study, and they're predicting that there are 1 to 3 million students in the United States who haven't engaged in learning since the pandemic. And the groups that are most impacted in those numbers are students in foster care, students experiencing homelessness, English language learners, students with disabilities, and students who qualify for migrant programs. And so what that study showed, and this came out in October, and I think our numbers we'll have to wait and see, but by October, the nationwide absences had doubled. And that was true for programs that were strictly virtual, and those programs that were back in person in any capacity, whether it's full 5 days a week or hybrid in some extent. And the study also found that where absences used to be fairly consistent across grade levels, so elementary, middle school, and high school all were absent at a similar rate, that during COVID, we've seen a higher number of absences with our high school students, followed by middle school, and then elementary. And so when looking at our attendance data, I thought it was important to share. We specifically amongst our students with Spanish-speaking families, we have 83% of our students have over a 90% attendance rate amongst our students here at Excel. Amongst our English learning students, we have 80% of those students are above 90% attendance. So I know that the numbers nationwide are troubling, but I'm really encouraged by the attendance of our students. And I think we have to give credit to our district translator, Deanna Wilson, for reaching out to our Spanish speaking families, as well as Julia Carnes, our referral coordinator, who's also bilingual and is able to establish that communication and relationships with our Spanish speaking families. Anyway, I'm sure that we will have further data on attendance as this goes on, but I just thought it was important to share that with you and really give credit to our students and our families and our professionals who work in helping build those relationships with our students and families. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. That is just really encouraging that in spite of the pandemic, we've got, as Joanne said, just this amazing work that's going on in classrooms like Ms. Haberman's, and the students really owning their own learning and stepping forward and being innovative and learning those important self-advocating skills. And same thing at the high school. So just really appreciate our ESD team. We were just doing some good things in spite of the pandemic.
All right, well, thank you for that, Ginger. So I'm going to move us to the next item under administration, which is our WASDA legislative session. And I'm looking for Meg.
I'm trying.
We hear you. That's good.
Okay. Yeah, Ginger and I spent many hours last Sunday and Monday morning attending the 2021 legislative conference, a virtual meeting Sunday afternoon, and meeting with our three oh, okay, thank you. I probably wouldn't have known how to do that. Meeting with our three legislative representatives, the three legislators from our legislative district, state legislative district. Thank you, Ginger. I mentioned some highlights of the conference in the agenda entry I made in the agenda, most notably the keynote speaker and the recognition of the barrier that the 6-foot distancing requirement is posing to our being able to have more students back, which of course we talked about quite a bit in the study session. There's a bill in the legislature proposing to have pilot studies of trying a 3-foot distancing standard, and we've already volunteered for that, though Ginger thinks that everybody else is going to do that too, so we may not have much of a chance, but we put our hand up. She put our hand up. Let's see, and then I'm going to speak a bit from her. This PowerPoint is Ginger's report that she made to our legislators when we met with them the next morning. Oh, okay, she did. You've already got us past the slides. I was gonna say, you already know all that. So we basically thank them for their support of HB stands for House Bill 1368, which is the measure that allows the federal funds from the December stimulus package to be distributed to school districts. And we appreciate that bill passed, and the governor signed it. Actually, I said I said at our last meeting, he'd already signed it, but he hadn't, but he has now. We certainly need the money for the reasons, for the purposes listed there, which I won't go over in great detail or any detail, but you can read. But we still need, well, first of all, for one thing, that bill did not include all of the federal money to which we are entitled. So I think that's the last bullet point, saying that we want that money. We also, next slide, need the money so that we don't lose a lot of transportation funding. All school districts are worried about, these are really the top priorities of the educators statewide, is that we get that federal funding, that we get more funding to the extent we can. And in particular, we've all experienced reductions in ridership and enrollment, and our state funding is dependent on the number of riders in the case of transportation, and the number of students in the case of a lot of stuff. So there are a couple of bills out there which are moving along smartly, or maybe have they already passed? What am I? No, they haven't, but both of those bills are high priority and very likely to pass, except that at this point they've been folded, or the intent is to fold them into the budget, the state budget, which will be considered later in this, or which will be finalized later in the legislative session. So right now, our big concern with this enrollment stability, that bill is now only includes a couple of things that won't fold into the budget, one of which is levy caps. And it's really important to us that our levy not be limited by our current enrollment, but rather be related to our normal enrollment. So I think those things are going to go through, but and we hope that they will also go through with more funding. So that's those bills. And there were some other bills that we wanted them to support. Flexibility in graduation requirements. There are a couple of bills relating to reducing the number of credits students have to have, or I can't actually see this thing very well, so I'm gonna make it bigger. Okay. Yeah, there are these two bills in legislative work. We get very attached to bill numbers, and so I know that you don't know what those bill numbers are, but yeah. So one of the first of those bills waives graduation requirements for emergencies in general, not just the COVID emergency. Same thing we had last year, but making it more permanent. And then the other bill decreases the number of credits from 24 to 23 and creates an additional pathway for students, several other pathways having been created last year. So we discussed in the WASDA has a monthly call for legislative representatives, and it was discussed in there yesterday that the HB 1162 is really more of a permanent solution because it solves some problems that exist on an ongoing basis. But wouldn't you know, it's the other one that's moving forward, but we'll see what happens. And then we're also in support of two bills that, well, one bill that allows computer science to be a math credit, and one that allows specialty teaching endorsements for computer science. So we urge them to support those bills. Actually, yeah, Representative Ibarra is not certain he's supporting the graduation requirements bill because he has some concern about adding a new pathway when we really haven't checked out the ones that we've already created in just a year ago. And I hope he'll change his mind because, and I tried to get him to change his mind. Anyway, and oh, I was going to mention the thing about the national board certification too. We also urged them to, well, the Republican budget actually has a provision in it. The Republicans have submitted a budget which really won't be the one that anybody pays attention to because the Democrats are in the majority, but the Republicans did put forth in their budget that they wanted to remove the bonuses for teachers who got national board certification, which is something we very much urged them, Ginger very much eloquently urged them to not do, not eliminate that. So yeah, now next slide. Oh, oops. Oh yeah, and this is one that we also are enthusiastic about. I know this board is enthusiastic about, but there's a, a work group that's been created on the subject of mastery-based learning, and that work group needs to further define what mastery is and what kinds of pathways and alternatives would be supported in a mastery-based system. So that's moving along. But the next one, if we can go to the next slide, we closed with this, that as always, we are eager to see them address the prototypical model, which doesn't seem to really meet anybody's needs very well anymore. And there was a law passed last year that said we will revisit the prototypical model on a, well, of course, it made a bunch of other changes too in the McCleary fix, but it included a provision to revisit the prototypical model. And there was a bill in the legislature this year to get more specific about the process for doing that. The next review will, it's a several year process, but unfortunately it looks as though it's going to lose a year because that bill seems to be gone. So that's too bad, but that's the way it goes in the legislature. You win a few, you lose a few. So I think that is all that is not, yeah, that's the report from the legislature, from our briefing of the legislators. And they were very receptive. It was a good, friendly meeting, but I hope they took our input to heart. Oh, and then Senator Warnick wanted us to follow up on our views on year-round schooling, is what she called it, but it's really a bill that, no, I guess I didn't mention that bill, but there's a bill to, yes, I did, the piloting, wait a minute. Am I getting confused here? Never mind. That's it.
Meg, okay. Ginger, anything further to say, or any board members, any questions or clarification?
I just want to say thank you for reporting on this. There are some very big legislative possibilities moving through, and I thank you for keeping a close eye on that and spending your Sunday doing that. I'm only scanning the email updates that we're getting, so thank you. I really appreciated too in this agenda that you have reminded all of us, that those of us who care about public school, that we should be in contact with Senator Warnick. I don't want to get it wrong. Representative Dent and Representative Ibarra, and that you can send them emails and call them. So I appreciate that you remind us of that, because as school board members, as community members, so we have to advocate too. And this is in the middle of that legislative season right now. So thank you.
I will keep bringing up opportunities to advocate if there are any. Yeah. It was a good conference. Getting us completely up to speed on what's going on and making it easy to follow the rest of the session.
Well, again, the board thanks both Meg and Ginger for your involvement with that, because that's really critical. I think it's always important that our voice be heard by our area reps and so forth. So again, thank you for that. All right, if there is nothing further for that agenda item, then we will move forward to the number 4 business, which is the update on the bond projects. And I see Brian is here. So Brian, take it away.
Thank you, Jason, board members. It's my privilege to continue to work with you on these wonderful elementary schools. They are moving along smartly and faster than expected. And it seems like when I put pictures up that I'm going to show you, each one of them, I could probably say that forget about that. They're way past that already. And those pictures were taken just last week. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to share my screen here. And I might need Logan's help here, so we'll see. So that one. And I want to do this.
And I think Logan's gone, so you're out of luck.
Yeah, she's gone. Well, can everybody see this?
Not yet, no.
Oh, you can't. Okay. Huh. Well, let's try this. Cannot quite see what's going on here. This one, I did.
Sure.
Share.
Oh, there you go.
I'll pull this down.
There we go.
Do you see it now? Oh, good. Good. Thanks, Matt. Good thing Matt's just down the hall. Thank you, Matt. Anyway, can you see this now?
Yes, and it's bigger. Good. This is great.
Great. Well, so I'm going to show you some pictures if I don't get too far ahead of myself here. What you're looking at is Mount Stuart Elementary. We're showing pictures. If you can imagine yourself looking south towards current Mount Stuart Elementary. This is the area where the kitchen is going to be at the end of the gym. And really what you're seeing now, all the drywall is in already. Plumbers, electricians, everybody is either finishing up their work or are done. And as you can see, looking down the hallway here, all the sheetrock is done, and actually, as we speak, painters are mobilizing if they haven't started already. This is a picture that shows a little bit of the artwork again, and looking down the hall. So things are moving along fast. Again, Mount Stuart Elementary. One of the things to give us flexibility in the gym is to be able to create a movable wall in our gym so that we could be serving students meals at the same time having PE and activities. And this is just a picture showing the brackets and the structure going in for that movable wall. We call it a partition curtain, but it's a little bit more substantial than a curtain. This is a picture showing what it looks like with the CMU, which is concrete masonry unit. And it's hard to see, but the masonry down along the bottom, the vertical siding that you can see going in. And here's a better picture that actually shows the concrete work. And then of course the vertical siding. And up here you can just see a picture of the hat channels that the siding is attached to. And underneath that, you can see the red paint there. That is actually waterproof, a coating that we use instead of Tyvek now. And so the building is completely waterproofed and doesn't rely on the siding anymore for the waterproofing. So amazing construction technique that we're using nowadays. So Ida Nason-Aronica, that went too far. Again, it seems like as the crews work together on Mount Stuart, they get so so used to working as a team and learning the concepts and techniques that by the time they move to the new school, they are working faster. So you can just see pictures of what the inside of Ida Nason-Aronica looks like, and it's also moving along fast. These pictures that you see here, they've all been painted with the waterproofing, and even under the waterproofing, you can see that all the sheets of plywood, the joints are all covered with waterproofing. The nail holes are all puttied, and so the envelope is very waterproof. It says here that windows are more than 50% installed. They're probably just about done by now. And I do know that the sheetrockers are already up in that building, and as soon as the painters are going to be done in Mount Stuart, they will then move straight up to Ida to continue their work there. So this is an overhead view of the rendering. I think you saw this at the open house if you were on the open house last week. Not a lot of change there, but you can kind of see, for those that haven't seen it, this area over here is where the gym is going to go. You can see back here we have parking that's specific for services. I would have nightmares thinking about them backing across this playground with kids there, and we don't have to do that anymore, so that's nice. Down in this area is where the elevator is going to go, so there's new construction here. And then a new larger parking lot here, and with the entrance down here, so that from here on down is all now parking area and drop off for parents. Parents here, services here, and buses here. So we've got them all nice and separated for safety. Again, these are renderings of Lincoln Elementary, and you can see the gym, looking in at the courtyard, and then the inside of what is now the gym is going to be, of course, the cafeteria. Again, that is it. So a couple things, price escalation. So 3 years ago, we talked about a 14% inflation factor. From last year, we saw lumber go up 73%. That's it. So that's one of the reasons that we were so adamant about trying to collapse this into 2 years instead of 3. So that really paid off for us. Also, impact to the community. We asked OSBI, what is the impact for every dollar of school construction money spent? $48 million or $78 million at $6 to $8 for every $1 that we spend translates to $468 million in community benefits. So that's really amazing. So, and that's my report. Questions?
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Meg.
In the rendering for Lincoln, I hope, well, I guess I shouldn't say it that way. Will the addition really look that different from the original school? Is it possible to make it blend in better the way we did at Morgan?
Meg, that's a great question. Architects really wanted to have a separation from the old historic facility to the new, because there was no way for them to match that. And they could have gotten close, but what they're going to do is they're going to make that closer to the trim, and they're going to tie it in that way. Things that, in other ways that they're going to tie it in is you probably saw the tall windows from high in the ceiling down low. We're going to turn around. We're going to open those windows back up in what was the old cafeteria in Lincoln, so that those are going to match. And so they're doing some architectural things so that they do match better.
Thank you.
Yep.
Board, any other questions for Brian? Okay. Very informative, Brian, and it was really great to get to do the walkthrough of the two schools. So that was just amazing to see all the progress that's being done. So I just yeah, I'm still in awe of the amazingness that's going on with all of it and how it's all being processed so efficiently and quickly. And yeah, so thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
Very informative.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So board, that leaves us, we have the policy was in the agenda, or was in the consent agenda. So again, we're trying to make these meetings a little more efficient. So kudos to everyone and Meg and Ginger and staff for moving that stuff forward. So that leads us to board reports. Dan, if you're still here, do you have an early learning report this time?
No, I don't.
All right, thank you, Dan. Student reports. So I think Jaden and Olivia.
Yeah, so I do have a report for you all tonight. First, an update on the cell phone procedures that the Student Senate was working on for the high school. We ran into a little bit of a delay because we had Mr. Snow and Mrs. Neboychuk taking it to their lit team meetings. But in the world that we live in, their agenda for their last meeting was very full and they didn't get to what we went over with our staff in our January meeting. So that got pushed to March when we have an update from what the teachers and that lit group feels about our procedures. And then this morning I had the privilege of talking with Mr. White about how to expand the voice of our student reps. So moving forward, Olivia and I would like to work further with the board about the student experience, about reopening schools, and we would like all of the board members to submit potential questions about what they would like to know about the student experience, and then bring those questions to more of the student body, which we can then bring back to this school board meeting, either in the meeting or in a study session, to just further get that input so that they can have the most comprehensive knowledge, I guess, about what the student experience is at the secondary level.
Yeah, Jaden, sorry, Jaden, I don't know if you're finished, but we talked about, or Jaden talked about earlier, making a survey and sending it out to students. And sometimes students don't really check their emails, or, I mean, honestly, sometimes even like the ASB students, they get really busy. So we're just thinking about ways to like get it out to students. And I was thinking of writing something for like the morning announcements at the high school, or like finding ways that Miss N and Jaden and I could work together to kind of get that out to more students so we can get like a wider perspective.
Well, listen to the two of you. You are just jumping right on it. So I appreciate that. Ginger, do you have any any comments or follow-up for them? I know I'm so impressed you're moving forward. I think Ginger might, I don't know, Ginger, any thoughts on that?
No, I'll follow up with Ms. Neboychuk, and we can see how we can work together to get a survey. And I would say, Jaden, maybe the next time that we have a student senate, let's bring that up and work together with that survey as well, because the student senate is kind of connected to the work that you guys are doing. So yeah, I'm excited. That'll be good.
And it might be helpful to add that some of that heavy lifting with this survey was already done a bit earlier in the year about how students felt about the school reopening, as a survey was done by the student magazine, the Alutin.
Excellent. Well, great work, the two of you. Love to see where that goes. So definitely keep us posted. Anything else? Board, any questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you for those student reports. And now Tasha, teaching and learning. Is there a report?
I do have a report, and I would like to tag on to what the team from Lincoln presented, and also in response to the emails and the conversations that I'm sure the board has had. I know as a board we've had emails, and I speak with confidence that we all appreciate that input and everyone's emails being sent to us. When I sit on the board and when I take my vote and when I make decisions, I'm not putting my 4 children center in it. I'm not making decisions based on their experience. But in reading everyone's emails and listening to parents, it really resonated with me. And the reality is that I am a board member who has 4 children in the district. I am a former teacher at the high school and elementary level. And currently I work with schools across the nation around math, around K through 8 math, virtually hybrid, you name it, we work with it. So really that's just an unfortunate situation for my 4 kids. They're at home with a teacher. What people shared, I understand. I hear them, I feel it also. School is a cornerstone of our family. We mark days, traditions, growth by it. The first day of school, the holiday program, that last day of school. Those are things that better moms are putting in scrapbooks. I am not good at that, but that is what we do. That's been taken away from us, right? Currently, I have an 8th grader, a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a 2nd grader, but those are numbers, and those numbers do not define them or reflect them. I have an 8th grader who's my oldest, who is quickly moving from a boy into a young adult, all happening in his room all by himself. And it is like watching a science experiment. I have a 6th grader who missed out on 5th grade camp, who missed out on the San Juan Island, has never set foot in Morgan Middle School as a student. I have a 4th grader who his teachable name is, well, he's a man of few words, that 4th grader. He just wants his list on Schoology so he can get done with the rest of the day and go on. And I have a 2nd grader, my only little girl, who since March 13th has not stopped talking. I don't know what that is, but she has talked nonstop. They are virtual this year. Our family chose for them to be virtual because continuity is important for them. Continuity for our district is important for them. I work full-time, my husband works full-time, grandma lives with us. It has been harder. Hard is not the right word to even say what this year has been. It has been difficult getting the kids to log in on Zoom, getting the kids to follow through, getting the kids just to be okay emotionally, right? We're all cycling back and forth all the time. But what I'm not afraid of as a parent, as a former educator, and someone who's looking at math data all the time, I am not one bit afraid of them being behind academically, because it is connection over content. And that was illustrated so strongly this year by our brand new band teacher, Mr. Murray. I don't know if anyone has a clarinet player in your family. I don't know if there's a clarinet player listening right now, but I have to tell you, clarinet is not my favorite instrument. And when my 6th grader chose to do clarinet, I bit my fingers really hard and said, all right, let's do this. Right? But when 6th grade started this year with a brand new teacher, I couldn't figure out how to support him at home, trying to get kids to log in on Zoom and trying to do everything. I couldn't figure out how to do it. So we made a decision as a family, you are going to take an F in band this year. That is what is going to happen. And Mr. Murray, he did everything to connect with us. He did everything to check in with our 6th grader. He called us and sat in his room on that last Friday before report cards came out. And he said he was not going to leave his room until we called him. And he said, your 6th grader has a chance to bring up that grade. He does not have to get an F in band. He was willing to do whatever it took that weekend to make sure. And I had to explain to that teacher that F in band was not something I was worried about, and that is what my 6th grader had earned, and that is what he deserved, right? That is what this should be. And I told him that it was going to be different next semester. We were going to figure out a way to get him logged in and do that. That band teacher is now meeting with virtual kids on Wednesday, playing with them one-on-one, hearing them. So now I've got a 6th grader playing clarinet in the morning on Wednesday. Ooh, but it's happening. And my 6th grader is seeing an adult who connected with him and did whatever it took to make learning to play clarinet done over Zoom. So I get that people are worried, that we are worried about, are our students behind? Are our students behind the school next to us? Are our students catching up? Will their future be secured? And as a parent, I am watching, I am following my kids, and what I'm seeing them take away is what these 3rd grade leaders showed us tonight. My 2nd grader is learning to have self-directed learning, and that will carry her through everything. My 8th grader is learning compassion for his family, compassion for his little sister, compassion for when I have to tell him, no, you can't do cross country this year because you care about your community. And this year you're going to have to be compassionate to it, and you're going to have to make a different choice. Leadership, when they're going to have to tell their friends and their cousins that no, they can't do the sleepover. No, their mom's not going to let them go for a bike ride with them out in the thing, because we care about our community and connection. They are connected to their teachers. They are connected to this community. They are connected. And so it breaks my heart to read the emails that we get, because yes, I understand the fear. I understand the worry and the concern, but I think that was demonstrated so clearly tonight by our administrators, our teachers, and by our students that showed up, and what I am seeing at home, and I'm watching it very carefully. Our kids are growing. Our kids are experiencing this pandemic, and they are stronger and better because of it. So there are silver linings to this. And I'm sorry, board, that I went too long. But I think it's extraordinary. And as Joanne Duncan said, those kids are our future. They are the hope, and they deserve us backing them. Our teachers deserve us backing them. Our community deserves it. And there are things to be celebrated.
Thank you, Tasha. Board, any questions or clarifications for Tasha? Okay. All right. Then that leads us to number 7, community input. So let me grab my information here. And Matt, if you can help us get started to open up to public comment. I will read off kind of how we run this process. All right. So individuals wishing to be heard by the board will add their names to the document in the Zoom chat box, or individuals will be recognized within Zoom by using the icon to show they are raising their hand. Once the chair calls on an individual, they will identify themselves by stating their name and address for the record. Individuals will proceed to make comments within the 3-minute time limit. In order to provide equal opportunity for comments, an individual's microphone will be turned off at the 3-minute time limit. As chair, I may interrupt or terminate an individual's statement when it is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. The board as a whole has the final decision in determining the appropriateness of such rulings. In accordance to the Open Public Meetings Act 4230, agendas and topics must be set in advance of the meeting. Board members will not respond to the public comment during the meeting. Additionally, comments may be submitted to the board at board@esd401.org. Matt, are we ready to open public comment?
Yes, and just as a reminder, the link to sign up has been shared in the chat box. And I'm going to share my screen so that people will be able to see the timer. Just bring up participants here so that I can see everyone. The first person that I have on the list is Angela Thomason. Go ahead and find her. And Angela, you have been unmuted.
Thank you.
And I'm going to set the timer. You are good to go.
Angela Thomason, 1608 East Spokane Avenue here in Ellensburg. I'm a 6th grade teacher at Morgan Middle School. I teach science, but I'm a parent first. And I feel like kids need to be back full-time in school based on what all the evidence is showing. And I shouldn't have to fight so hard for their education, for their right to an education. I shouldn't have to come to multiple board meetings and send multiple messages, but I'm here doing it because that's what I believe in. As educators, we're denying them their education right now. Kids need that safe space of full-time school. Again, Dr. Larson stated that the younger kids are not the super spreaders that we thought that they would be, and could be less than 6 feet. He said full-time K-5 just in your board meeting, in the board study session. Instead, my daughter is now at, let me rephrase, sorry. My 2nd grade daughter is now at CW daycare 2 days a week. because she cannot be home by herself with her 14-year-old brother. It is not safe, and it was not something we could continue doing. So that's an additional exposure now that we have for our family, mixing with Central students and other kids that are at Central. The goal of having 70 to 90% of teachers vaccinated instead of herd immunity, that was one thing that we talked to Dr. Larson, or I asked him specifically if that was a good goal. So maybe something to think about. Inslee may be changing it to teachers up in the B2 level now, so that was really positive to hear from him. Dr. Larson said multiple times this afternoon and today that he's not worried about K-5 transmission. Our district mandated social emotional learning training, which was amazing, and I highly recommend it. But it left most of us teachers feeling very discouraged about not being able to help our students with only 2 days a week. Not all kids are thriving. I know that some are, and that was an amazing presentation, and it just, my heart felt it, but not all kids are thriving. This last year has really affected our youth. Now more important than ever, we should be focusing on them. If you want quality academics and social emotional learning, we need 5 days with our kids so that we don't feel guilty for concentrating on academics. I made the wrong choice to have my kid VA. My 14-year-old just went back at semester, and the change in his emotional state has been huge, and he needs more. He actually said, "Mom, Miss Leach is so much better than you. I completely understood everything she said the first time she explained it." So they need to be back. Okay, K2 first, start with them. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I'll stop. I had more.
Thank you, Angela.
Okay, Elsie Siski. Yes.
Can I go?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Elsie Siski, 1510 Brick Road. First off, I'd like to thank you for letting me speak at the last meeting. I would just like to say again that I'm asking that you help us go back to school full-time and in person. I've spoken with several students at the high school, hearing that most of them want to go back in person full-time. Hearing from students who have moved from virtual to hybrid, being back has helped them so much. I know that being back full-time would help me more than ever. I heard a lot in the study session about struggling students on both A and B, and going in on the days that aren't scheduled to get extra help. This is not available to all students. So how are you going to make education equitable for all students? Grades are dropping for all, so it's only right to ensure that all students get the same fair treatment. Additionally, you left us with no hope that additional days will be an option this year, and that's very discouraging and disheartening that you are not thinking outside the box and finding ways to give us more days this year. You said we could not go back more days because of struggling students, but how are you going to make it fair for all students? Since it sounds like you have no plans to give us more days this year, then at least work to ensure that the time we are in class is being used to the fullest, especially since we have less than 32 days left in person. I spend much of my time in class working on homework. I have 3 other days of the week to work on homework and only 2 days to get instructions. Personally, in my classes, only 5 minutes of the class time is being used for instruction, and the rest of the time is work time. And our class time is extremely valuable. So with 3.5 months left and this setup visibly not working, what plans do you have to make this better? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Elsie.
Okay, that is all that we have on the list. Would you like me to set an additional timer?
Yes, please set is it 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever it is?
30 seconds.
30 seconds, just to make sure if there's anybody that wants to still speak. You've got 30 seconds to let us know. All right, and with that, public comment is now closed. We will now move on to new business. Proposed items for future consideration.
I would like to propose that we work in the policy, equity policy, like the definitions that we talk about on the board retreat. And maybe we could do that on the next study session.
Thank you, Hilda. Other proposed items for future consideration?
We'd also like, we're probably looking at the second study session in March to be able to bring to you the winter map scores that we got and just kind of talk about where we're seeing our students at academically with the map scores.
Okay. Thank you, Ginger. Any other proposed items for future consideration? All right, I don't see anybody else jumping up. So, all right, Ginger, do we have an executive session? All right, so board calendar. Any items for board calendar? Any clarifications or next steps? Oh my goodness, that means.
Sorry, I didn't have a moment. I was typing there. Board calendar, one of the things that we need to, it's just about time, is to take a look at resetting the board calendar for next year. That comes in line with us resetting or approving the calendar, the academic calendar for next year as well too. I believe that's coming up in March. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. I'll be putting one together for you to review. But if there's any standout items, please send those to me so that I'm aware.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Any board members need clarification from that? Okay. All right, then that would lead us to signing of official documents. Board, just as a reminder, make sure we're staying up on top of that. Matt, anything to say?
Yes, Jason, I do have the diplomas that need to be signed by you. So
okay.
Those need to be picked up here in the office to be signed. And then I do have additional documents that need to be signed as well.
Perfect. Will Friday work?
Yes.
Okay, I will be in on Friday. I'll plan to be there for the agenda setting. Okay. Perfect. All right, board. Unless there's something else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, Tasha has moved, Meg has seconded. And with that, we are adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Cool, it lasted.